So, Ricky Williams, state your name for the record.
Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams, what are you doing now these days, man? You were a running back for a long time.
Yeah.
And what are you doing now?
You mean like for a living?
Yeah.
I'm a professional astrologer.
It's a professional astrologer, okay. Millionaires don't believe in astrology. Billionaires do.
Right, JP Morgan.
What's the concept behind that?
Behind that quote?
Yeah, the idea.
Well, the idea is that astrology taps you into what's going on. And so it helps you think really big. And so I think what he was trying to say, if you think small, you can have a certain amount of success, but if you think cosmically, you're going to have greater success.
So are millionaires too busy?
Millionaires are too close-minded. Because to be into astrology, the one thing that you have to be is open-minded. Because convention, or what you hear, is that it's a pseudoscience, or it doesn't mean anything, or it's superstition. So you got to be open-minded.
Okay, open-mindedness. Kind of, let's transition into cannabis a little bit. When I saw you playing for Miami, the Dolphins, in the NFL, I got to be honest with you, I thought maybe you lost your way or you lost your mind. You were crazy because you, just like Cliff Robinson, who in the NBA with the Portland Trailblazers, failed a cannabis test half a dozen times. I don't know how many times you failed, but eventually you were like, you know what? This doesn't fit who I am, doesn't fit my need, I'm out. At least that's what I'm assuming.
Well, it's not separate from what I was speaking of earlier, is being open-minded. Because part of being open-minded is you have to lose your mind, meaning you have to lose your attachment to old ideas. And it's not even shifting away. I think to me, that's why I love cannabis, because it really facilitates, for me, opening my mind to different perspectives.
Give me goosebumps a little bit.
Yeah.
So you were in this I'm going to call it a cult. I love football. I was playing it from junior high. I wanted to go and get a college scholarship. I broke my shoulder. I just had surgery after 25 years because It's not my shoulder. It was my bicep tendon. But the doctors who were paid by the insurance company,
they're so close to each other.
They didn't care. They did an orthoscopic. They didn't see anything because they weren't looking for it. Because they don't care. They're not in.
But if you're an athlete, they would have been looking for it.
Yeah, but my problem is I didn't go to an athletic doctor like the UW Medical Center. UWMC is specifically designed for that. When you go to your traditional Western medicine doctor and they're paid by the insurance company to not find it, they're not going to find it.
They're not going to find it. Yeah.
So 25 years later, that's how I got into the cannabis industry. I wanted to go down the route of NFL and professional athletes, but I kind of found my own path. Running away from Big Pharma is how I found cannabis. And I'm curious, your own experience in college, you kind of maybe found it more spiritually than I did physically. What was your path to kind of accepting cannabis and not really giving a shit what anybody else thought?
My experience. It's my experience. I mean, to me, I never cared too much what people thought. I always value my own personal experience. Honestly, people make a big deal about not having a dad in the house, but I think not having a dad in the house, I got to learn to think for myself. And so
I didn't have a dad either, and I'm a contrarian. I don't give a fuck what people think, and that's really interesting that you said that, because I didn't really know. I kind of thought about it, because if we had dads, we might follow in their footsteps.
We would have.
We might,
or at least we would have rebelled, but that's still in a form of following in their footsteps.
Right, and so you think being fatherless gave you the ability to have more options, or open-minded, or not have a direction influence onto you?
And all right, there's you learn the hard way, but at least it's real learning. I like to read a lot of mythology, and what's interesting in mythology, all of the demigods, one of their parents was not there because they were in Mount Olympus. But those were the demigods, right? The people that had most of the problems, if you read mythology, are the kings that had a earthly father. If you read, those are the ones that kept getting in trouble.
I hated mythology in freshman year in high school. I didn't understand it. I didn't like it. How did that impact your
stories? I just love stories, and I realized reading the mythological stories that not exactly the same, but those same themes were playing out in my life and the people around me's life, and I recognized it and noticed it, and I started to make connections of that. We're all unique and different, but in a sense, we're all kind of doing the same thing. We're trying to figure it out.
How has post NFL in your career now, when you talk to people, do they I'm gonna throw something crazy out there. Britney Spears went through something where the media thought she was crazy, and then you find out through the custodial process that it was really her dad influence that made her kind of go nuts, and the media has a little bit too much power over people, and some people can't.
I don't agree. I think people give the media too much power because the people only have the power that we give them.
Interesting.
They do, and so I hear what you're saying. 100%.
Why can't they think for themselves? Well, I want people to rub two brain cells together and think for themselves, but the media is just taking it, regurgitating it like bobbleheads.
But if the people started thinking for themselves, the media would have to change.
How do they change? How do they start thinking for themselves? Is it
permission?
Do you have faith in
or cannabis? Honestly, I think because to me, aside from how it makes you feel, the physical things, to me the most beautiful thing about cannabis is it gives people this experience of they consume cannabis and it provides them some kind of real, authentic relief. And then they think, what about all the people that have told me my whole life that this is horrible, right? Then you start to think, what else did they lie to me about? And I think that's the magic moment.
Yeah.
That's the magic moment.
Right? Are we seeing that now with the federal governments and the way that the whole AMC stock thing went down? They're lying to us about Wall Street. They're lying to us about 6630509.
But our parents have been lying to us from the time we were this young. So that's just how it works. They've
got a patent, 6630507. They've got the UFOs that came out. The government's been lying to us about everything. So when you talk about cannabinoids, CBD or otherwise, do people embrace that now when you talk about it?
You know, it's
hard
to.
More open-minded.
They're more open-minded because they've been given permission by the consensus. But I think the only way to truly understand what cannabis is and what it can do for you is to experience it.
That's awesome. Anything else, man?
That's good, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Where can they find you at? Like, where are you on social media?
I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram at @Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Or don't. And I'm out.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'd love to get you on with some other people like Marvin Washington and Lofa Tatupu and talk about CBD in the NFL and how maybe it's a little racist that the NBA and MLB and other people aren't testing and kind of what that does to the psyche and the athletes going through CTE. So I'd love to talk to you some more, either individually or on a panel.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. You too.